Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics, and I believe we are logged in, set, and ready to go. Excited to be here tonight with everyone. If you can hear me all right, let me know in the chat room. Excited to be doing this one live, talking about silver, especially as you can see.
This is eToro.
In my backdrop. Whoops, sorry about a little background noise there. Yeah, silver hammered quite thoroughly today. And I'll see if I can move my head there. Down 60 cents at one point. All right, good. Then Cool Breeze, you can hear me. Genuk 9, Deborah can hear me. That's great to hear. Wonderful to be here with all of you tonight. Finally settled into a new home in Austin. So everything we've done the last couple months has been on the road, but I'm excited for what can be possible. Especially, we're planning a very fun and special Silver December to remember. That is not a promise about any price inclinations, although, as we can dig into tonight, we will see what happens with these December deliveries. I have a few things that we can touch on here. We will have one guest as well. Jerry Huang from Gemini Capital will be joining us in about 20 minutes. So I am going to start taking questions shortly. We'll look over one or two quick things here. But again, let me welcome you on in. Richard, welcome from New Zealand. Pudenda, hello, how are you? Silver Helicopter Ben, probably not before Christmas, but it's getting there. It's getting there. So Dave Matson, welcome. Bill, thank you for being here. I forgot to tell you I was dumping 50,000 contracts on the market today. Yeah, I want to pull up my silver volume chart. I'll get that off my phone. Yep, there was quite a big spike in volume right around the move down. So we will take a look at that one as well. And yeah, interesting times. Abby, if the December comics blow up doesn't send the price up, then what will you conclude about that? I'll conclude that that's, I guess, to some degree expected, where I mean, you could look at it this way. On any given day, is it likely that the COMEX blows up tomorrow? No, but, unless my core underlying premise that the whole thing is being pushed lower by selling the same ounce of silver multiple times, there is, I'm not sure how you would express it mathematically, but the longer you go on, the more you're stuffing the beach ball underwater. So at some degree, it becomes more and more likely on some level each day. I know Bix is out there calling for a big number in December, and that it could happen. The way I've looked at it for the last, pulling up our chart there, but we will stay focused. The way I've been looking at it for the last decade is that, if it happened by the time we were done with this call tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes on longer and longer, some amount of time that I wouldn't necessarily think is possible. I allow for that to happen. I think we've all been surprised at how long it has gone on so far. And I wish that, or not wish, I will continue to hope that at some point before all of this really happens, where it does end up that there's a failure on the COMEX, that there will be something that I'll be able to see where it says, all right, this is finally happening now. I'll let you know. I'll hopefully have a really big option bet on it at the time. So we will see, but I don't know. I don't think anyone knows exactly how this will unfold. Even if you said that I'm just missing it and that the contracts are not affecting this, which I don't think would really be accurate. But let's say the market isn't manipulated. Let's say it's just freely trading. I guess why there's still the insurance plan against that is that at the end of the day, there's no scenario in which I see the Fed ever undoing what it has done. So fire in your questions there. I am going to stop the monologue and take some questions. I'm going to take a sip of water real quick. With my new water bottle from Whole Foods. Well, that is not a paid promotion today. I see a couple of people asking about the cryptos, and it is interesting for anyone who's not been keeping an eye on it. Bitcoin really soaring recently. It was in the 18,000s, 18,400 right now. So I don't know, is there necessarily going to be a connection to Chris Marcus, Treasury Secretary? Well, that would be fun. It would be such an easy job too. Although, will there be a correlation between cryptos and metals? I think that's the kind of thing where there could be. There also might not be. But I expect on some level, whether it's the cryptos or cryptos and both gold and silver, to be rather binary, where sits where it has been, kind of like Bitcoin, sat around for a couple of years, then spiked up. Silver did the same. I think we will continue to see that. I mean, keep in mind, you see big prices on some of these now, and we're still in a world where the dollar is the reserve currency. So I think a lot of that, whenever you have China or some country say, hey, we're done with the treasuries, or some sort of fracture, I think then you will really see all of these things move quite a bit. So, wow, we have live news tonight from Silver Sands. Maybe we'll touch on that. This is, sorry if I seem a little distracted here today. We're trying some new things, incorporating some live features, have a guest coming in. So in either case, I'm going to keep looking for some questions here. How many December silver contracts left? All right. Well, I am prepared for that one. So let's get our screen share here. And here is chart number one of the day. You see silver right around 24 bucks. This is almost exactly what Bart Chilton described when I asked him that question of, hey, does it, we keep hearing that. You see the hammer dropped, there's the volume, and that the same guys are selling here, buying back down here. And they know that if they nudge it through 24, they get this effect. Bart confirmed it. CFTC wants to call and have me go through some of the records or take a look. I'm sure we can arrange a deal on that. So far, I have not heard from them. But anyway, let's go back to the question here. Is the silver futures will accept their cookies? So a couple days out, there you go, December contract, 52,000, down 4,000 today. I do expect that will come down quite a bit. And I wish I could give you an exact answer. It's one of those things where it's just going to be darn interesting to see. And we'll just have to wait a couple more days, although here is the gold on the year. You can see there was the record setter, Greg Hemke, in his Sprott Money article last week. Great one if you did not read it. But basically, with the equivalent number of days out, it looks like we're on pace for something even bigger than 55,000. Let us scroll down to silver. And we'll stop. Before we get to silver, we'll take a stop on Palladium Drive here. And actually, another article I pulled up we can touch on. But here, Palladium, you saw a big number in September, so I'll be curious to see what happens there. Platinum, similar. Where do we get to the bottom of platinum? Okay, so you see normal, it's 400, then you had that 4,000 in July, 5,700. See here in the non-delivery month, 543, that's more than you would have in the normal delivery month. So I'm not sure if December is delivery for platinum, although Rafi Farber, who you saw on the show a couple of weeks ago, who's done some great COMEX reporting, has a note about that. Speaking of COMEX, part of, as I mentioned, we're planning Silver December to Remember. Lots of silver giveaways, so make sure you open some vault storage space. I got a lot of silver. We just need to find a home for. Here today, I have my silver candle with me as I'm unpacking. But I was thinking a roundtable of perhaps Rafi Dezo, who many of you have seen on Rob Keen's and other shows, and also Bob Coleman, friend of David Morgan. Some of you may be familiar with Bob. He's going to be coming on hopefully this week, and I want to get a roundtable really to dig into these things. By the time we do that, I guess we'll have some preliminary data on December. And anyway, so I'm going to take a look back over here so I can see any questions that have come in since then. But yeah, that's a quick update on the deliveries. And I believe in 7 minutes, we were going to have an appearance from Jerry Huang. So anyway, keep firing in your questions there. And I would love to ask as many of those, answer as many of those as possible. Do you think we get to 20 at this push down and with the vaccine pump? I don't think so. I wouldn't say it's a zero probability. I wouldn't sell to put it zero, as we used to say on the option floor, which basically means, I don't know, I mean, it's the difference between saying that seems unlikely and it's not going to happen. Along those lines, imagine that if you are a 99% favorite, yet you're consistently betting your entire bankroll, you are guaranteed to go bust. So, you know, who would have thought that silver was going to go below $12 in March? I didn't have that one, but I would say the good news is that, to me, again, it comes down to what you think of the pricing. If you think that the contracts can be hammered on the market, push the price down. If that is the case, and the price is lower than it would otherwise be in a free market scenario, and at some point that has to be unwound in a fashion similar to, I imagine, the end of It's a Wonderful Life. And keep in mind, it's kind of funny, I guess, like us silver bugs, you know, we're like a little sensitive bunch. I mean, people are still saying, oh, I'm tired of the manipulation. And I get that by all means, although for gold, you did have new all-time highs. And all right, I get it if you think gold should be 5,000 or 10,000 or really, when you look at any numerical basis, likely some amount more than that if you were really backing the dollar to gold again. But I mean, it's not like gold is down to 1,200 like it was for a while. I mean, I get it. Silver is not at $50 yet, but I mean, if you think about where it was, even, what was the rally in July 7th month? So like less than half a year ago. So anyway, let's see. So yes, that was the original question. Could it get to 20? I would think not, but I would not say that it's impossible. Bill G says $20 silver is pure manipulation. Deborah Glass says, good question. Deborah, nice to have you in here. Jim Davenport, how much physical do you need to own to be wealthy on the other side of a reset? I I don't know. I guess that's a relative question. Wasn't it like 2,000 ounces used to buy a house? I feel like I heard that somewhere years ago. Don't hold me to that one. That could be completely off yet. I don't know. I think one of the things that's fun is that regardless of how many ounces of silver you have, and sure, if you have a big pallet full, that's nice. Like excuse me for one moment. Let me step into something a little more comfortable here. So if you have a basement like Chris here, sure, that can be good, yet I don't know. I think as anyone who starts a business or an entrepreneur realizes, when you have a good idea, or you even have knowledge, or just that you understand what's going on, and what I think will be one of the biggest shifts in the world in history. I mean, it sure seems a lot like the Roman Empire, but stack on 2,000 years more borrowing and spending. So I think understanding that, maybe you'll write a book, maybe you'll just share your knowledge. I don't know, it took me a while to figure it out, but it just seemed, rather than flipping options on the New York Stock Exchange, which I figured, I'm like, geez, I wonder how much longer this will exist and people are doing this. Versus I just felt like if you get this stuff, there's somewhere out there that people are going to have value for that. Partly, as you know, we have partnerships with Miles Franklin. So, I have an audience that buys bullion. Again, I don't ever want anybody to do anything for my behalf. Please only do what is responsible and good for you, but for people who are looking for a safe place so that we can get a good price for a special. Similar with the mining companies that are looking to reach investors. And that's one of the things that I think is exciting, certainly for an industry that's been not the easiest times for the last couple of years, really set to grow. And these companies that I have on, when they give their contact information, by all means. Pretenda is asking if Bigfoot is real. I don't know, Pretenda. I've not met Bigfoot. And I have not knowingly seen a UFO. Although it is interesting, anytime a plane flies overhead and you don't have the flight number, technically it is unidentified. So we'll leave that at that. But anyway, again, I would really keep that in mind, that if you find these things interesting, maybe starting a YouTube channel or writing, that's one of the parts I'm most excited about, especially because I know how many people have gone to the conferences, how many people have, waited patiently, especially because silver and gold represents something more than just an investment, and to think about how really this crowd of people, this beautiful community that we have built here and fortunate to be a part of. So I think a lot of people are really going to be doing well in the sector, and whether you have a truckload of silver or you just have some knowledge and have made a lot of, all the people that you guys are in there chatting in the chat room, I think that's awesome. And hopefully if you find people you get along with and can network with, is a great thing. And with that said, I'm going to welcome in the great Jerry Huang of Gemini Capital. Jerry, a silver expert. And there he is.
Hey, man.
Hello, Jerry.
Hey, how are you, Chris?
High on our list for sexiest guest of Arcadia.
I don't know about that. I like your background. Oh, man. Can you spare a bar or two there?
Well, yeah, come on over, Jerry. This is...
Oh, man. I know you're in Texas, so you must be near Fort Knox, right?
Well, I did try to go to Fort Knox a couple of years back.
Okay.
Not really much of a tour area as I was hoping for, but...
Oh, darn. Okay. Yeah.
I just got like a couple suitcases. I wheeled this around from state to state. And
is Rob still over there hanging out?
Rob went back to
Ah, okay.
the outside of Dallas. I saw Rob
Okay.
Keys of Gold Silver Pros.
Yeah.
Did a couple good talks last week. And I think it's really exciting. A lot of the different YouTubers and silver media. I
Yeah.
mean, it's nice having the companies, the media, and the different people on the show. But really, I guess what I've thought I could offer in many cases is not claim to be a genius about like some brilliant analysis about silver. Yet, really, if you just get people together
Yeah.
and which is something that you do really well, Jerry,
I don't know
where
about that, but okay. Thank you. I'll take the credit.
but I mean, you know everybody out there. And in fact, something I think Jerry might be worth sharing with folks tonight. A lot of the time, I get contacted by a lot of companies, and before I don't just blindly accept any company that wants to come on, even if they are a paid sponsor. Jerry, you're one of the people that I
Oh,
ask
thanks.
because I know you know the management teams. You know how to
For
read through
sure.
the red
Appreciate it.
flags, and because these are complex deals that it's hard for folks to really know how to evaluate. So, folks, why don't you write in your questions? Although, Jerry, if you have any thoughts on that, while people fire in some questions, why
Sure.
don't you take it away? Jerry, are you
Oh,
there with me?
oh, I am. I thought I'm waiting for you for questions and Q and
Well,
A. Sorry.
I'll ask the first one.
Yeah.
You know, for people who get what they see what's going on with the Fed money printing, they think silver's going up, and they're looking at the stocks for leverage.
Sure.
As someone that I certainly consider a qualified expert witness on this matter, what's some advice they should have in mind so they stay on the right track?
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks for that opening question, Chris. So obviously, you can always buy a bar of silver, buy a bar of gold. Keep it in your safe. That's not going anywhere. You have it with you, right? There's always at a custodian risk, even if you're buying, like a Sprott ETF. I mean, end of the day, you're holding paper. So a lot of people still do prefer having that physical exposure, but I think what really draws obviously a lot of us to the miner and the junior mining space is the leverage, right? So the leverage in the sense that for the same $100, $200, 1,000 plus that you're putting into a bar of silver or a gold coin, if you bought a share of Barrick or if you bought a share of GDXJ, if you bought a share of Rain and Silver, Impact, or variety of different mining companies and different lifetimes and really just different scenarios of their operation, whether they're producing high quality exploration, high risk, high reward, ETF, or a senior producer, you're bound to get a much better return for every dollar silver moves, right? But at the same time, there's a lot of things to be cognizant and be aware of, right? Because if you're buying an exploration company, you have to really understand, and that comes down to obviously relying on experts such as yourself, such as your financial advisor, guys like Rob from Gold Silver Pros, who can at least point you out to the things to look for. If you're looking for early exploration, obviously you want to buy companies that have great track record. They have the ability to raise money, which is obviously quite important for companies that are in the space, right? And a lot of these companies don't have ongoing cash flow, or even in a tougher market, even if they have cash flow, they may not be making money. So they need to be raising money to obviously fund operations. So if you're buying in at let's say 10, and they're raising money for like 5-10 million to keep the lights on, so to speak, that might not be going to the ground. That might be going to overhead, salary, and expenses, and that may or may not change the stock price that much, because end of the day, if it's an exploration company, you need to be drilling, you need to be exploring to get that value chain higher. Whereas if you're an exploration, or if you're already a developer slash producer, similar to Impact or Meg or First Majestic of the world, if a dollar silver goes up, you're getting that immediately lift right away to your bottom line without any changes of the cost structure. So these are just some of the preliminary things to really look at. And when I work in the bank, these are things that Mark and Chris knows very well. These are KYCs, right? So rather than knowing your client, is really know yourself, because you got to understand why you're buying these companies, but rather than just blindly saying, obviously that's great. I mean, a high tide raises all boats, but I mean, if silver goes back to $30 tomorrow US from 25, all bets are off. I'm sure any quality company with some exposure to silver, hell, even companies with just a name change with silver in the name, probably would be up 20%, right? But we don't want to be. We want to be a bit more selective than that.
Yeah, well, Jerry, speaking of that, John Colorado just laid a $2, let's call it a silver dime. He put on his question there. He wants to know, when will silver hit $30 so he can buy some call options.
I think we all, I just really quickly looked at the silver price chart right before this. I mean, I think when we were last talking at Silver Fest, it was much closer to 30 US announced than it is today. I mean, obviously it dropped 60 cents today. It's quite a big shock with obviously the AstraZeneca and the various vaccines. They're getting cheaper. They're getting easier to work with. We're starting to see a bit more clarity on President-elect Biden's plans and various new appointments surrounding that. So there's with that clarity seems to come more certainty in the market, which is actually from our experience, at least the last decade plus in the space, it generally is bad for gold and silver, and I think that's what we're seeing for the most part in the short term. But I think as I mean, looking at the time frame in a month or two right now, assuming inauguration is going to happen in US, I think with the stimulus package, wherever it is, whether it's trillion, 2 trillion, whatever the number ultimately ends up being, I think we don't have any doubt that it's going to happen. I think with that would come back with, we'll see a lot of this come back in the market, this fear, obviously, of, incoming inflation, dilution of your dollar. Various banks are already actually forecasting, devaluation of the dollar. So this is not a myth anymore, right? Like it's, back 5 years ago, if you were saying this in kind of the down market of junior mining and mining in general, people kind of think you're wearing a tinfoil hat, writing this, writing underground blogs from your shack with 6 months of food supply. But more and more so, it's becoming a bit more mainstream, and people are starting to question. And that's why even alternative assets wise, I mean, it's a kind of blasphemous word in our sector, but Bitcoin, digital gold, right? Bitcoin is actually hitting all-time highs. Whether that's entirely hot money, a lot more younger investors, but the tried and true gold and silver will have its day again. And I think we're just taking a bit of a breather. I mean, in all reality, I mean, we actually just put out Q3 on our mining company as well, and it was actually really good. But the stock went down because obviously, silver had a really rough day. But keep in mind, most of your silver, precious metal miners would be doing really well right now at $24, $25 silver. I mean, yeah, it's not 30, but seriously, it's, most of these guys have marginal costs in the teens, low teens or $15. So you're still making very good margin, 30, 40% plus gross margins for the most part. So, I mean, if you have obviously a silver bar, it's tough to see, a silver asset, bullion holding, it's going to tough to see that fluctuation. But, keep in mind, I just looked at, Silver Bull and Kitco.com. Yeah, the price today is, not even 25 an ounce US, 30 Canadian equivalent. But to try immediately buy an ounce of silver today for that price, you can't. Like it's you're seeing the Kitco price chart here that Chris has pulled up. But try and buy an ounce of silver right now. An ounce of silver bar, silver eagle, or a few coins at 23 in US. Good luck. Like Scottsdale, I think. I mean, and various mint companies will charge you like a 40% premium today, which is like it's a farce, right? Like this is a 1 day swing, but unless you're buying like 1,000+ ounces or 10,000 ounces and you're buying a contract for physical delivery, and that's where we come back with the whole paper trade and the whole ridiculous element of this actual delivery being 200-300 times the amount of actual production per year. So we all know this is a farce, right? Like look at the drop in every day when New York opens at 9:30 in the morning or 6:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, it's a slam, right? And 9 times out of 10, if it opens on a drop like that, it'll close on a drop, right? We see this every other week, pretty much, right? So I mean, JP Morgan just got fined for price manipulation, and people are asking how how do you get on this class action lawsuit? It's practically impossible, right? How do you show you've bought on E-Trade or Questrade or on Schwab one share of a silver miner in the last 20 years? Are you entitled now to a payout because price has been manipulated? But yeah, long story short, long answer, really short. It's hard to say, but I think I would say definitely I'm betting on the next 3 to 6 months for a 30 to revisit and see that $30 now silver price.
Well, there you go. And Jerry, actually, I would say there is one place where you can actually get silver below spot. And the best way to do that is by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. Or you could even take it a step further, go to the Arcadia Economics homepage and get email updates, because in our Silver December to Remember, silver is going to be given away at a precipitous rate that makes Silverfest look like a Sunday school picnic. So, Jerry, I got another question for you from Ron Sheckelson. This is a little back in the chat, but I'd love to hear your answer. Mining stocks were down 10%. Metal was down only 3%. So we've seen, and I guess this would be the First Majestic would be a great example here. Silver is up, even with the move today, silver's up, I don't know, like $6 on the year. And here's First Majestic when silver was 18. First Majestic's at 11.95, and down, 230 on the year while silver is up. Is it just going to be some point where all the frat boys on Wall Street and they're like, well, Bill's buying some silver stocks, and then Joe says, silver? What? You mean, yeah, it's that metallic thing. Yeah, people actually go out and mine it, and then eventually at some point they all pile in, or when are people going to get? They want to know, when are we getting paid on our mining stocks? When's silver when is it going to come through? I think people are confused on that a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's a very valid question, Rob. With First Majestic, as you know, Keith and the team there run a very tight ship, and they're all over the Blocksphere, Chris's interview, and they work with a lot of very good analysts, very good market guys as well. So they're definitely out there. They're very well known, and Keith has done a great job. First Mining Finance and the whole team. Like, this is a very solid company. I last I checked, I think they're about 13 million ounces produced per year forecast, but keep in mind almost half of that is not silver, right? It's silver equivalent. So the Santa Elena is a big chunk of that, which is a primarily gold project from the first Silvercrest. And there's also the Primero acquisition, which they're churning through, and I think it's starting to finally make a bit of money. But as I recall, even last quarter, they lost a little bit of cash. I don't know. I think that was mostly some accounting write-downs and whatnot. But again, that's where maybe the valuation has run a little bit too rich past the current valuation. Look at the Yahoo snapshot or the summary right here. The earnings per date, trailing 12 month, they're losing money, right? Like they're losing 25 cents a share on a per share basis. Not quite turned around in terms of the last 12 months. And this is with silver really taking off as of the last 6 months, right? So you need to give it some time. But again, the good thing was obviously with Keith and the team there is they know how to raise money. There's a very good depth in terms of operations. They are one of the largest miners, other than the Silver Standards and the Heclas of the world, but easily up there. They're much more aggressive, and I would say nimbly in terms of deal making. Like they're all big shareholders of GR Silver and First Mining Finance. Like they continue to spin out new innovative ideas. Hey, they may not work out 100% of the time, but they did Zinc One, they did a few other deals, but the 2 or the 1 out of 5 that pans out, they're up 10 times on their money, right? So you're getting the big cap, the large cap appeal, plus a nice exposure on the downside. So that's really what you're getting. And personally, it's always been a great trade for First Majestic around this time of the year to kind of Q1, Q2. Right around the PDAC, which is kind of the industry gathering for the year. So you can't really go wrong with First Majestic. Anytime you have extra cash, you might not be able to turn around and sell for 30% next month, like some tech stocks, like the Google and the Facebook of the world. But you're not just buying this for a 20-30% percent either. You're buying this for the ultimate fact that we all believe silver is going to go much higher. And when it does, companies like Liz, they'll get the lift first rather than the developers, right? Because they're the ones that would immediately get that $20-30 an ounce difference in terms of their revenue. So if you're doing 12 million ounces a year and you're getting an extra $20 for free, assuming your cost would not change. And that's the beauty of commodity businesses, right? Because the minute silver, gold, copper goes up $10-20 an ounce, you have no changes to your cost structure, but all of a sudden you're making an extra 200-300 million, right? And with First Majestic, I think they're breaking even. They're making a bit of money last quarter finally, but this is just with silver at $24 for really the last 4 to 5 months. It hasn't been that long, so you need to give it some time. But obviously, we're seeing a bit of market pullback, and First Majestic does pull back a lot harder, unfortunately, than despite the size. I will say. I mean, look at the chart. Back in July, August, the price of silver was around 29 an ounce. Silver today is around 24, just below 24. So in terms of the percentage wise, it's not down as much, right? But at the same time, you're also not going to get as much lift. So you have to understand why you're buying this. You're buying this because when silver goes up, this is going to go crazy. And even if silver stays flat or even lower for a while, this has that staying power. So I'm not too worried about First Majestic.
All right. Well, appreciate that, Jerry. And Sam, thanks for being here. Eric Harmon, thank you for the kind words. Bill G, Gastorfic Muncher, James Crane, Magic Man, JW Crisis, everybody else who is here. Jerry, in a couple minutes we have left with you tonight. I know you had a couple companies that you are involved with these days, sure. And perhaps anything that you'd like to share. I can pull up a ticker here as well if you'd like. But
sure, definitely.
What are you up to?
Yeah, so obviously we have Impact, which has just had a really good Q3 today. Worth a look for sure. Made about just under $1 million net income, 1.6 million EBITDA. So that's ISVLF, IPT, right, on the TSX. Well-followed stock. I know it's been on Chris's channel a number of times. It's actually showing it's up in the US. It's actually down 3% in the Canadian exchange. So just under 100 million market cap, very nimble company. Production for the last 15 years. Samsung is the largest client. A caveat, I am the CFO for the company. So obviously I'm an insider, so can't give away anything else. But obviously great quarter, $25 plus silver means that it's going to do really well. It hit a very nice peak, obviously. So on a time frame basis, back in 2011, it was nearly $3 stock, right? So it's got a leg. It's pulled back a little bit from the peak of August, but not too much as well. I mean, it's got about 17 million cash end of September, and the market cap is just shy of 95 or so. So it's got good runway. It'll do about 20 million in revenue per year. So you're not looking at a very expensive company, and it's got a big asset, right? It's got about almost 300 kilometers worth of unexplored land package, which it flanks two of the largest silver mines in Mexico, right? So it's southwest of the La Guitarra, which is First Majestic, and then it's northwest of the Taxco. So as we know, geology doesn't cut off with man-made boundaries, and to date, this company has already produced over 11 million ounces of silver. So it doesn't just talk about a game. A lot of the analysts have been there, have walked the visit. I was actually just on site in March with Rob, as you know, with Gold Silver Pro. So great infrastructure, real producer, and whatever
they spot for Silver Chris down there soon, Jerry.
Definitely, we'll take you down next trip. Yeah. When we can travel again, of course. So yeah, so I mean, solid pick. I mean, this is probably one of the more boutique junior producers out there. It's just shy of 1 million ounces, so it's not a 10 million ounce a year producer, but it's also got that leverage. But what's really interesting about this company is that it's only raised money a handful of times in the last 15 years, no rollback, good team, good technical advisory board, and it's got Samsung as a client. And most of all, it's also done really well in terms of earnings as well. So it's got that earning powers. And lastly, it's 90% pure silver, right? So in terms of silver as a percentage of revenue, so when you get silver going up and you're really a half base metal company in terms of reporting, Chris, zinc and copper didn't go up. So you're really not getting that full lift. So with Impact, you actually do get that lift, right? So it's the same issue with First Majestic and Hecla, because as you grow bigger, it's very hard to find big silver deposits. So if silver goes from 20 to 30, you're not making an extra 40% on your earnings. You're making really like 25, because half your earnings are not silver. So with Impact, it is pure silver, right? So it's a very sellable business, and it's got a great retail following. So worth a look. The other company I'll pull up is a very small company in California. We are shareholders as well. It's right in California, obviously home of Tesla EV. The ticker is Moon, MOON, or BMOOF, I believe, is the ticker in US. So it's Blue Moon Silver, or base metals. Very interesting company, very cheap. It's actually jumping up a little bit, so it's worth a look. I mean, it's got that torque in terms of returns. It is a penny stock. So 5-6 million market cap, very small. So high risk, high reward. The good thing is that this does have a resource already, and the management was previous Sprott. He's got an advisor, VP Exploration, who found one of the biggest projects for BHP for copper and silver. So they know what they're talking about. They bought their shares. And the fact that I like these companies, Chris, is that the management has bought so much shares, they became management, right? So this guy, Patrick, is the CEO, owns a big chunk of the company. He's got Patrick McGrath, who's the CEO. You have the Clinton McClintock, who is the prospect of the year. So it's kind of like the Oscar of mining with BHP. So he discovered the Spencer project in Chile, which is a 10 billion plus valuation project for BHP, well worthy. He's then sat on another company called North Isle, which has over 10 million ounces of gold, 20 million ounces of silver in BC. And since then, he's basically become a bigger shareholder. And they have some notable shareholders on here too. So well worth a look, right in California, big VMS. They have one lens. They've raised a little bit of money, 300,000 that we helped them with a few months back. So very small company, but the management owns 20%. They have a big JV with an Australian firm for 11 million, and they were drilling 30% equivalent silver or zinc, and you're starting off with about 10 million ounces of in situ silver, multiple lenses. These things, if you can find the source of the volcanic massive sulfide, you're looking at easily 50 plus million ounces here. So very cheap for the size of the company. So these are the companies that can go up 3-4 times in a hurry.
Well, Jerry, I appreciate that as always, and kind of nice to have someone who kind of sees this before a lot of the public. So thank you for being here tonight, my friend. Is there a way that people can follow up with you if they have questions?
Sure, for sure.
You're a beast
Definitely.
on the Twitter scene, and how do people stay up to date with what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. You can follow us at Gemini Capital. It's on my whole private holding advisory firm. So that's JEMINI Capital. So and Chris knows how to find us, of course. My personal Twitter is just Jerry Huang. So it's J3RRYHUANG. That's probably the easiest. You can follow me on Twitter, follow a lot of our investment followings and tweets and retweets. And obviously, we're always on our Acadia Research channels as well.
All righty. Well, thanks for stopping by, Jerry. Great to see you as always. And we'll look forward to checking in with you again soon.
Definitely. It's always a pleasure.
And remember, silver makes a great holiday presents too.
It does.
You could get some, silver candle holders like I have here, or I have my silver chain, but I've been thinking about getting a new one. We're gonna load all that in the Arcadia store for you, my friend. Maybe we'll
That's a good idea. No, I'll definitely pick up
Impact shares in there as well. But good to see you, and we will catch up with you soon.
Sounds good.
Celebrate Thanksgiving.
I'm happy to take a day off, but I mean, I think we had ours last month. But I'm happy our friends down in the south are getting a holiday after this crazy news late in the year of the election, coronavirus, and just never seems to end. Hey.
Well, we're going to keep folks posted and sane throughout it all, and we'll look forward to checking in with you again soon, my friend.
Definitely. Sounds good. Have a good night, Chris. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
All righty, folks. That is Jerry Huang of Gemini Capital. And we have about 15 minutes left in tonight's show. Yes, so send in your questions. I'd like to get as many of those as possible. And while you do that, I will show one last article. And perhaps you may have some questions about that. This is from Rafi Farber, who was on the show recently, a couple of weeks ago. A watershed moment for metals and commodities ahead. We could be approaching watershed moment in the metals, gold and copper, both in backwardation. Platinum also suggesting something is up. And so this is from his pay service. And he allowed me to highlight a couple parts. Spot deliveries up more than any other day before. So he gets into the details there. Basically, I think this is where he is talking about the gold contracts. Around 80 to 100,000 deliveries on Black Friday. That would be twice the all-time record of 55,000, which I showed earlier. So, wow, that would be a big number. And certainly I would take his guess over mine on that. Talks a little bit about silver. And let's see if we find gold technicals where he mentions platinum down there. Platinum also suggesting something is up, while divergence and some technical analysis. So a lot of people wondering, speculating about what will happen with these December deliveries. I just take I try and sit back and think, all right, well, it might happen in December. If I have mining shares of silver, does it really matter whether it's December, January, February, or whenever? So anyway, a few thoughts there. And now I'm going to look back in here for any questions. Keep sending them in. Love to get as many in the last 12 minutes here as possible. Question from Carlos Danger. Do you think there is something really big, government, major hedge fund that is buying these COMEX silver dips so fast? You would think that it would be likely. I don't know for sure. They haven't told me. If I can figure this out, you would think that someone in some of these central banks would be able to figure it out. You would think so. It's my best guess is it's kind of like the poker game where it's like a prisoner's poker game mixed with a prisoner's dilemma, where as long as you can get physical at these prices, let's say China knows that they can squeeze the market and make silver go up to $100 in a matter of minutes, but they're still getting physical delivery now at 24, 27 or whatever the price they get it at. I guess you keep doing that as long as the guy's going to go to the ATM and bring money. The sucker's going to bring money back to the table. I don't know that for sure. That's been my best guess the last 10 years. So, Canna King dispensaries. Anyone else see 90% ever becoming numismatic? Not quite sure what he's saying there, although just, make up a question from there. Numismatics. Wonder what will happen to the numismatic premiums. I would think if we have a silver shortage, that premiums would probably do pretty well on the numismatics as well. So anyway, who else has a question in here? Jim Davenport, at what price would you sell, Chris? That is a good question. I guess I don't know the answer to that. I mean, it wouldn't be just to hang on to a pile of dollars. I mentioned the other day, I don't know, if let's say silver went to $75 in the next year, I don't know, maybe reallocate to uranium or other assets that are cheap, or depending on how much silver your portfolio, maybe then real estate's down, you buy a house, but like those kind of things, that's what I think about. Less of, all right, well, silver went up to $50. Put some cash, sit here, think about it, maybe buy some tech stocks. I don't look at it like that. especially with the mining shares. The thing that's exciting, again, I mentioned before, it took me a while to figure out how to get a business up and cranking and all that. But now that, fortunately, that part's going well, it's like, gee, if I'm making income and I can buy shares of these companies where just, if I'm right about silver, the margin that these companies are going to be making is going to be rather stunning. Um, so it's kind of nice. I mean, to the degree that we're doing a show and, try and have some intelligent analysis, I look at it, but I don't really care, whether it's 60 cents or 70 cents, because I'm not saying, I'm not saying it's not worth caring, because certainly the people, when that's their expertise and you can know which stock to get, it's great. And it's what David Morgan, Dave Kranzler, some of those guys are great at. I don't know. My core bet is on silver, the commodity, and I try not to outthink myself too much in terms of the mining stocks, because perhaps one thing to keep in mind, let's say silver went to $50 overnight, probably the marginal company, let's say you have a company that has $24 cost of production, maybe they're out of business next year, but depending on how it moves, they could actually end up doing better. So anyway, I try not to overthink it too much. Just buy companies that, I think I feel comfortable with just about everybody we've had on the show. Jerry's one of the people I vet these companies with before bringing them on. And, I get to talk to them, and if they know what they're doing, Chris, are you looking at option opportunities on silver or any mining ETFs? Yeah, I was fishing. In fact, I think there's a little unallocated cash in my account. Tomorrow, I'll probably look for some option trades, especially any of these times where you have a price day like we saw today. So I don't know, it's down 60 cents, then another quarter. Better buying them now than, when thing was up here. Could it go lower? Yes. I guess a lot of this got started because I did have a big option position on in 2011. And yeah, if you timed the big move, I thought I was going to be financially set for life because I thought silver would keep going. Turned out I was wrong. Really, at its core, option trading. Now I look at it, all right, maybe I don't need to bet the farm, but if I pick some educated spots or some guesses, of which maybe this would be a good example of one, and if I come out sixes, if I even hit on 6 out of 10, especially if you get some unlimited upside and start making some intelligent bets, it can go well. I did have one email. I don't know if that fella is watching right now, although I will address that. He was saying, a lot of people are talking about COMEX in December, yet if you look at SLV, the options on that are not pricing in anything spectacular. I would imagine that's the case. I did not get to look at those yet today, although I guess I would maybe question the cause and effect, especially because I used to be the market maker, not for SLV, but for Susquehanna, and I think we had 600 products towards the end. And I would talk to the guy that set the markets for SLV. I don't know, maybe it's changed, but at least back then, any of this stuff we're talking about now, they're like, what are you talking about? Silver manipulation. So, did that guy even know that silver was trading below the cost of production the last couple of years? I doubt it. So I don't know that when silver moves that it's going to show up in the SLV implied volatility. I guess you could look back in early July and see what the options were pricing then. I'd be pretty shocked if they had appropriately priced in the move up to 29. So yeah, I would agree with what he was saying, that I haven't looked, but I would imagine what he's saying is correct, that SLV options aren't pricing in what's happening with December deliveries. But I'm not sure that that's the most informed participant in the market of what's happening underlying. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to see if there are any last couple of questions here. Got a couple minutes left. Going to keep tonight to an hour. Although there's been a lot of fun, and perhaps we can explore this live format a bit more. Maybe we have like an intro and then a guest and more questions. Sometimes it's nice to get these done early, but it is fun to do this live. Allison Silverland, great name. You pick up one of the silver bars behind you. They're too heavy. So I'll bench press a couple later. And anyway, any last couple of questions? Allison Silverland has also seen the jamming years ago on the Mr. Hunter channel. Well, I appreciate that. Mr. Hunter was my old band. I actually came down here to Austin, particularly some warm weather, also to get the music back up and running, polishing some things up the last couple of years. I'm going to start a new project. I'm thinking about calling it Arcadia. If anyone has any suggestions for a band name, let me know. Is Arcadia a good name? I mean, if we're going to have in-person events, silver conferences, we will have live in-person events in 2021. I don't know if I should say I promise that. Well, I'm pretty sure, unless there's some new weird government policy, whether it's here in Austin. I know someone wanted to set one up in South Dakota, and in Nebraska you can go in places without wearing masks. So, and yes, Yara mentioned the Arcadia Lounge after parties. We're going to queue that up a little bit in December. So anyone who's at Silverfest, if you remember the video booths, which I thought were a blast, we're going to get that. Really been wanting to expand that concept a bit, especially just bringing people together. Michael Sayer, Thanksgiving. I'm so thankful for all you do and have taught me. Well, it sure is quite kind of you, Michael. And Michael was in the video booths at Silverfest. They had them at the Sprott show too. You need a solid silver guitar. Yeah, that sounds nice. It'd be darn heavy, I would imagine. But sure, JP Morgan cover band. Well, we don't know about that. But yeah, the music stuff will be fun. I've learned to sing since then, and really excited to get that rolling. We'll have some music for our events and a lot of good stuff. So anyway, Oliver Twist. Did someone say after party? Yes, not tonight, but we are going to have some live chats, live video booth things, and if you want to come home. I guess really what I wanted to create was that feeling. I think a lot of the people who are into silver don't get as much enjoyment maybe going to a bar and drinking Jaeger bombs and watching the football game, yet creating that feel of, hey, I can connect with people, I can talk about what happened in the market today, and there's other people out there who are seeing the same thing. So anyway, we will keep you posted on that. Thank you all for being here. Hit the share button if you enjoyed this so we can spread the word. Let your friends know about the prospects of the silver market while prices are still where they are. And anyway, with that said, thank you so much, all of you, for being here on this Monday night with me. Hope you're getting ready for a great Thanksgiving, having a healthy, safe holiday wherever you are. And sure do appreciate you all. And I will see you again soon.